this is Champ for Different Skill, and I'm bringing you a quick video on getting grade stuck. So, at the team tournament, there was a lot of unfortunate cases of grade stucking. So, grade stucking is when you don't have all three grades. When you're grade stuck at 1, we have a scoop maul rule that you can show your opponent that you don't have a grade 1, and then you mulligan, and then your opponent gets an extra mulligan, and if you don't have a grade 1, after that, that's too bad. But if you're grade stuck in any other way, you just have nothing to do. So you shuffle your whole hand back into your deck, and you draw 5 new cards, and you gotta keep what you gotta get. So that's kind of one of those things that we tried to make it so that grade stucking doesn't happen as hard. So that you don't just get grade stuck at 0 and you lose. You go like, oh, don't have grade 1. Well, scoop up your cards, right? So I had a lot of grade stuck issues in my team tournament, but I went 6-0, I believe. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. No, I went 5-0. So even though I got grade stuck, I dealt with it. This was probably 1 because I knew how to deal with the situations, and 2, my deck was Nubatama, so I had a pretty good. Nubatama has a pretty good grade stuck solution because of how Nubatama is not reliant on you being at grade 3 or at limit break, either of these things, so that it makes your deck less susceptible to getting screwed by grade stucking. So what if you're not playing Nubatama? What if you're playing something like Nova Grapplers or something like anything? So I'm just gonna go through a few scenarios. I have 4 hands here that I have laid out that I'll explain to you what you would do. The first hand is the worst hand that you could possibly get, is the grade stuck hand. So although it's not going to make sense after I draw from this deck because all these cards are from the same deck, so I'm just going to explain. So after you mulligan and stuff, your hand ends up looking something like this. So you have 3 grade 0s, a grade 1, and 2 grade 3s. Now this is the worst kind of grade stuck hand, especially because, well, it doesn't matter if this is a perfect card or not. It just essentially matters as a grade 0 for this example. The problem with this is that, first of all, you don't have anything to play except for your grade 1. So say this is what I'm doing. I'll be like, okay, ride, and then you draw. Okay, so you're left with the option: do I just go attack with grade 0s, or do I keep them in my hand? In my opinion, the right idea is to just keep them in your hand, attack, and hope you drive check something. Of course, I did not get anything, which is kind of the point that you need to be worried about, because if you didn't drive check a grade 2, that is a clear indication that you need to defend early. So if they attack and you can safely guard it for 10, guard their Vanguard for 10, guard a rear guard for 10, you should guard everything you can, because these cards aren't going to help you until you get to grade 3. Because you have your grade 3s, that's great, and unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be. By guarding earlier, it reduces the amount of chances that you lose your grade 2s that are still in your deck to your damage zone. Because if you only have seen a grade 1, a 0, a 1, a 3, a 3, a 0, 0, that means there's more grade 2s in your deck that are still left. Say you play 9, there's 9 grade 2s left in there. So you go guard, okay, so guard your Vanguard for this, guard your rear guard with this, and then you draw. Still no grade 2? No, that happens, right? Mainly because there's like 6 grade 2s in these 3 piles, and there's only 3 left in here. But the point is that when you're stuck in the 1-3 situation, which is what I like to call it, where you have a grade 1 and a grade 3, don't be flustered and play down all your dudes. Another important thing is that when you're grade stuck, if you have, say, your grade 0, your grade 1, and your 3, and your 3s like this, say your hand is this, which is not actually horrible. Well, it actually kind of is, but so you just would ride. If you're going to attack, make sure you play something like a draw trigger to attack with, or like another grade 1. If it's a perfect guard, you might not want to play it because you might need it to survive. But playing down a draw trigger is one of those things where a lot of people don't do. And say your opponent goes, you go attack, and they go no guard, and you flip out, and you flip out like a heal trigger or something, and you go, oh, power, and then that's all that happens. But if you give power to your rear guard, then suddenly he has a second attack he has to deal with. When you're grade stuck, it's important to push your opponent into a state where that they don't just get to free roll over your face. You want to make sure you're hitting them every turn with at least one or two, with at least one other rear guard. So if you can, do it, but don't overextend. Do not, like, I would not suggest playing something like a 10k and a 5k, because that just doesn't really make any sense. You're jeopardizing your chances of survival. So that's the worst case scenario where you get grade stuck. I've seen, generally it's really hard to come back from the 1-3 grade stuck, because if you don't get your grade 2 on your next, like if you miss your grade 2 ride and then you don't get it for like a turn, you're really far behind because you're a grade 1. Most likely your Vanguard's 7k, and then your opponent plays their grade 2 12k attackers, and then suddenly you just can't block anything. So it gets really difficult if you get grade stuck at 1-3. It's normally you do lose, but sometimes there's the case where you don't lose. So the next case will be the grade 2 clutter. So your hand's like, well, I mean, I have a grade 1 and a couple of 2s, but the problem with this is that you go, okay, I'll ride to grade 1, go, and they attack you a bunch, and then you're like, oh, well, guard for 10 and take like 2 damage if they're playing an aggressive deck, because your grade 2s don't do anything. And then the problem with, even if this doesn't happen, then you go, okay, draw for turn, ride, call, you attack, and then they attack your rear guards. Then like, oh, well, okay, I guess I don't have, at least I don't have damage, and then you draw, oh, I'm still grade stuck, well, I can't play this here because it doesn't hit anything, so I guess I'll just attack with my Vanguard again, and then you draft check, oh, I got a grade 3, congratulations, but you already lost a lot of potential power from your rear guards. So that's the reason why it might not be smart to play all of your grade 2s if you can't defend any of them. At the same time, if your hand looks like something like this, you couldn't do much anyways, so you might as well try it. But this is the same way where you want to attack a lot, but at the same time you want to protect yourself a bit. If you're attacking a lot and your opponent's taking a lot of damage, it means they have the ability to play the same amount of rear guards and kill your rear guards, which, when you're grade stuck, I don't care how much damage you're at. I mainly care about surviving and having cards in my hand still. So that's why it's a bit dangerous to go all in on it, but at the same time, if you have no choice, you gotta do what you gotta do, just attack them. Maybe they don't have enough rear guards, maybe they have a lot of grade 0s themselves, but they're not grade stuck. They'll just attack your Vanguard. Mainly, your opponent probably won't attack their Vanguard and their rear guard unless it's something that's important to you, say like, I don't know, like a superior ride piece or something that will sway the game, like a Dreadmaster or something that you put in the front row, like this guy. So something like this that's on hit, a Vivian maybe. So it's important to make sure you protect what's necessary for you. Like this perfect guard is basically useless. I would call it to boost, honestly, because, well, if I perfect guard, I give them 2 cards anyways. I might as well not guard that attack, and I might as well get a bit more attack into it. So that's the second scenario of getting grade stuck. That scenario is not as bad. You generally do recover from that a bit better than you do from the 1-3 split, because the 1-3 split is just really, really bad. When you get a lot of grade 2s, especially if you get more than 3 in total, so you had the ride and then you play 2 and you have still holding grade 2s, because you can't block with those in the early game, because you're a grade 1, and then you can't block with grade 2s when you're a grade 1, and then it just goes like, oh, well, that's just too bad. So that happens a decent amount. So the next grade stuck is this one, where you're like, I have a 1 and a 2, and I mean, I have some grades. So this grade stuck is the most common, where you just go, when you draw a hand and you're just like, okay, I got some stuff, so I'll keep these 2, and then you mulligan, and then you're like, draw, oh, actually I'm pretty good at mulliganing. Actually, this hand is godly. So I'm bad at getting grade stuck on camera, but essentially it means like, you get, essentially these hands are like, you are holding a lot of triggers, and you only have this left. Like, normally this happens when you keep 2, and then like you just draw triggers. It happens quite frequently. I don't know why. Theoretically, it's not supposed to, but anyways. So what you would do in this situation is you would just ride normally and just, well, when they attack, if you can make profitable blocks, block them, because when you have a lot of grade zeros, you're in a defensive position. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of this. When your opponent is at grade 1 and he attacks you, say you ride at 8k, this is very good, because if your opponent rides a 7k and moves his 5k to the back behind it and attacks you, you can block that for 10 safely, because if they get a trigger, your shield still protects you through it. The reason why that's important is because if they get an early critical trigger, and then you take the early 2 damage, you're so far behind because you're not even guaranteed a ride. You can easily prevent that by guarding earlier. So that's an important part that you need to understand when you're grade stuck with what you have to work with. Essentially, each time you're grade stuck, just think to yourself, what do I have to work with? I have a lot of 1s, I have a lot of 2s, I'll go aggressive. If I have a lot of shield, I'll block early, because say I go, okay, I'll take it. Okay, and oh god, I just lost some of my cards. And you go, okay, ride, like draw and ride. And you're like, well, this is fantastic. And then you go, whatever, attack. Oh, critical trigger, sure, power and crit. And then they play like a 7k and a 12k and attack for 19. And you're like, 15? And then they attack with their Vanguard, and it's like, maybe it's 19. You're like, well, no guard, and okay, sure. And then they attack with another rear guard. I guess I'll give you 10 as well. And then it just gets worse and worse as the game progresses, because when you're not guaranteed to get stronger each turn, your Vanguard isn't getting stronger each turn, your opponent may get stronger each turn. So it's better to, if you can have a profitable block earlier than later, because that will ultimately increase your chances of survival. So now that my deck is almost full again, essentially I just built myself a half decent hand that's grade stuck. The last form of grade stuck is what Amulet and I find the best way to get grade stuck, because when you're grade stuck it's unfortunate, but hands like these are quite good. So what do you have here? Oh, I got some zeros, I got 2 1s and 2 2s. You know, that means that you get a pretty decent start. So you go, okay, I'll ride my strongest grade 1 on my Vanguard zone, because I want to be defensive with the defensive cards in my hand, my triggers. So you ride this. If they ride a 7k, go right for it. Block it. I don't need your thing. Unless you need something to have counterblast, you would definitely block it. I mean, something important. Not like, well, I guess searching for a grade 3 would be half important, but something like, oh, okay, counterblast 1, soul charge a card from my deck, or something like greedy hand, something that's not that significant. Even Lincho is not as significant when you're grade stuck, because, well, I'll kill your dude, I'm still grade stuck though. Something like this, where if on hit they have discard a card, quite relevant when you're grade stuck, because, well, when I'm grade stuck, I'm going to have less drive checks than you, because I'm going to be at grade 2 and you're going to be at grade 3. So I'm going to try to make it so that you block all my attacks, you can't get into limit break, and you can't just face roll me. So, okay, I'll take it. Take it. Oh, my grade 3. Great. And then you draw, ride, call, and like this, assuming these aren't Nubatama units and don't have effects, that's a pretty good aggressive start, because you can have all your guys attacking at the same time. If your opponent's still grade 1, feel free to call it like this. Or in the other way, you can actually just have it here and call a blank here. This is what we would be like trigger insurance. Say, okay, if I get a trigger, I can put on here, poke out a rear guard maybe, attack his Vanguard if they didn't get a trigger. So it's important to make sure you grasp every opportunity you can when you're grade stuck, because when an opportunity passes, say you're like, okay, well, I'll attack with this guy, and you didn't have this, like, okay, no guard, I'll attack with this guy, and you get, oh, come on, show me my crits, come on, give me a crit, give me, there's not enough crits in this deck, okay, and you just go, okay, heal trigger, power here, but you missed the opportunity to go, power here, attack you a third time. So why would you not play this? Well, you lose 5k shield. Well, was that 5k really going to help you that much? Because you have some other cards in your hand. Oh, that's why I didn't get any crits at the top, because I had 2 in my hand. So why would you not play this? Like, it's just there. Oh, if they attack it, that's great. I mean, they're stupid enough to attack your draw trigger and they think it's important, then, well, go right ahead, right? So that's the main reason. All of these situations of grade stuck boils down to what do I have to work with. So, okay, I got triggers, I block. I got dudes, I attack. So, but after all, at the end of the day, it's kind of just luck when you draw your grade 3. But in case you never draw your grade 3, or you never draw your missing grade, you at least know what you should have done and how you should have dealt with it. So I'm just going to explain why Nubatama, although this is a non-grade stuck related issue or whatever, why Nubatama is so good at being grade stuck or getting out of grade stuck. Well, one thing's for sure, I run 4 Hakagure, my grades are a little skewed, so it's not going to always be perfect. So, okay, I got grade stuck here, sure. Ride this. Take your first damage. Second ride, I'm going to use Takahane to bind your rear guard. I'm going to play Dreadmaster here. I'm going to attack. If this hits, I can't target the rear guard that I bound, dies. Okay, you're going to block it? Sure. Attack you with this. If I have less cards, which I do because I played my whole hand on the field, you have to discard a card. They're going to have to, they're like, oh, well, either I take it or I take it and discard. I take it and discard or I just block it. The reason why this is so good is that a lot of your attacks are always threatening. It's not like, well, I have a vanilla swing, take it. And then they go like ride Maelstrom. Attack for 21, if I hit you, you have to kill a guy, I get to kill a guy and draw a card, and you're like, well, that's too bad. So this Nubatama will prevent your opponent from freely getting into limit break when you're grade stuck. The scariest thing is when you're like grade stuck and your opponent's just like, well, I'm just gonna ride Gauntlet Buster Dragon, and you're like, no guard? Because you just can't, you just don't have enough cards for that. Or they go, oh, Chaos Breaker Dragon, I'm just gonna lock this guy? Alright, I'm gonna draw a card now. And then you're like, oh, well, oh, okay. Or they go like Break Ride, Mortrid Phantom, and you're like, oh. And then you just scoop. So, being grade stuck is a bad thing, but make sure you guys can take advantage of your opportunities, because in the team tournament, a lot of people got grade stuck. I got grade stuck 3 times out of my 6. I'm pretty sure out of my 5, I'm sure over half my games I got grade stuck but I got the best form of grade stuck where I got 1, 2, and then I drew a 3, and after like a turn or 2. My teammate who was playing Eradicates got grade stuck every single game, and he won like 4 games out of 5. And a lot of my opponents who got grade stuck, they knew what they were doing, but some of them didn't. They just went, grade attack each time, and they're holding cards, but why were they holding their cards? Like, they just had grade 1s. They're blocking with grade 1s and 2s, and I'm like, alright, well, I just get to free roll you, and I'm just gonna get card advantage because you just can't deal with this, and then they just start losing. So I hope that helps you guys. Getting grade stuck is frustrating. Try to deal with it. It's kind of part of the game that is unfortunate, but if it never happened, I mean, the game would be too silly, because you go, oh, if I never got grade stuck, I can just run as many grade 3s as I want, and break ride, and stuff like that. So, I hope that was informative, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.